Hi everyone, Ronnie here. You're listening to Clean With Me, the podcast where I talk you through cleaning your house. Thanks for joining me. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about cleaning a messy room. So sometimes on this show, I will have bedroom episodes where I have you start in one corner and just have a bag for trash, a bag for donation items, and kind of just work your way around the room like that. Other times I talk about something I call cleaning in layers. So in this episode, we'll be cleaning in layers, and I'll talk more about how I do that. And there will also be a fun story time later in the episode. By the way, if you're new to the show, my daughter and I take turns recording. I have 6 kids, 3 are still living at home, ages 16, 13, and 11. I'm also a grandparent, and my oldest daughter is my co-host. We normally record separately. However, we are going to start doing some episodes together. We've done that before when we meet up in person, but we are actually going to start doing that even remotely. So I'm super excited about that. Anyway, it's time to gear up for your cleaning session. Maybe you want to straighten the very front entrance of your home before you dive into one of the back rooms that needs to be cleaned. Or maybe you want to quickly load your dishwasher and get that running, or start a load of laundry. Or maybe you want to just freshen up a little bit, maybe put your hair in a bun and light a candle to get yourself in the cleaning mood. Whatever you feel like you want to do before you dive into a project. Now, the room you're going to be cleaning could be your own bedroom. I feel like that's mainly what I gear these episodes toward. But it could also be a child's room, or even just a spare room that's become kind of a catch-all or a dungeon of sorts, where you kind of keep storing things, or you neglect to dust in there or something like that. But for most of us, I think it could be our own bedroom that is a problem, because a lot of times when you're the one doing most of the cleaning at your house, or even just a large amount of the cleaning, just you're an adult, and you're doing a lot of cleaning, even if you're sharing the load, you may tend to save your bedroom for last, because there's kind of the idea that nobody's going to see it. However, your bedroom is really important to your mood. And of course, use this episode however you want it. It might be a different room that you need to tackle today. The steps are going to be pretty much the same in any bedroom, whether it's your guest room, your own room, or someone else's room. But the room you wake up in especially can affect your mood. So some cleaning and organization experts actually recommend that you start with your room when you're getting your house in order or redecorating, because that's where you wake up every day. Now, I'm not really part of that school of thought. I do tend to put my room last, but at the same time, I do want to get to it, even if I don't get to it as often as I do the other areas. I understand the benefits of it. Okay. I'm not on here as just a cleaning guru or an expert or anything like that. A lot of what I talk about includes my own struggles. But that said, I have learned a lot over the years. Jessica and I were just talking, and be gearing up for your cleaning session, whatever that means for you. You are going to need a trash bag when you go to clean the room, most likely. So have that ready. But Jessica and I were having a conversation about the show recently, and she was saying that, maybe sometimes we should be including some things that we tried that failed, because they still might work for other people, as far as just solutions, techniques, methods. And I think I have done that in the past, but I definitely need to do more of that. We're going to be talking about one of those fails in an upcoming kitchen episode. But as far as cleaning your room just kind of from one corner to the other versus cleaning in layers, I do both. And in this episode, we're going to be doing the cleaning in layers method. So let's get started, and then I'll explain kind of the reasoning behind which method I use when I go to clean my room. First step I want you to do is throw away any trash. You're probably going to want to have a trash bag in hand and just start tossing things. And this isn't just one corner of your room, it's just anything that needs to be thrown away, any obvious trash. Okay? So that's step one. While you're working on that, if you don't have any trash to throw away, you can just move on to the second step, which is making your bed or stripping it. Meaning you're either going to make your bed or strip it to wash your bedding if this is a day that needs to be done. So you're going to, first couple steps are throwing away trash, make your bed or strip your bed. So when you clean one area at a time, maybe you have a really cluttered corner. Maybe you have a desk in the corner of your room where you work and you're just piling things around you. Or maybe you're piling things around your nightstand or something like that, and you just start working in that corner. It is an effective way to clean, but when it's not a good idea to kind of use the location method of cleaning one corner of your room at a time and just kind of working your way around, is when you might be limited on time and you might have to stop before it's done. Sometimes that can be frustrating because maybe you detailed one quarter or one half of your bedroom, but it still looks like a disaster and you had to stop cleaning. The cleaning in layers method kind of gives you some instant gratification. The other reason sometimes I feel like cleaning my room in layers is that it can be tedious to just start organizing a desk or some kind of a hot spot, as we call it, just a problem area. I think I got that from Fly Lady back in the day, the term hot spot, but just areas that we say attract clutter, which really just means we tend to plop things in that corner or on that surface. Sometimes that can be tedious and you don't necessarily feel like starting there. So there are a few different reasons why you would clean your room in different ways at different times, or you just need it to look better quick. You don't necessarily need your desk organized. You just don't want your room to look like a tornado hit. So I'm going to help you get your room under control in this episode, and then toward the end, you will be in a clean room tackling that more tedious task that needs to be done. We're going to save that part for the end, so hopefully you'll build some momentum. Hopefully by now you have thrown away all the trash in your room and either made your bed or stripped it. It's possible that you may need to grab a broom to drag out items from under your bed. If it's just been a while since you've cleaned under your bed, this is part of our deep cleaning series. So we want to make sure we deal with anything under the bed that doesn't belong. Underneath the bed is a great place to store things, as far as those flat plastic tubs that you could store extra blankets in, or if you're the type of person who rotates clothing in and out of season, it could be used for that. And sometimes if you put these storage boxes under your bed and kind of fill that space, it can keep items from ending up under the bed that don't belong. But no judgment here if you do need to get some clutter out from under your bed. whether you're accidentally kicking shoes under there and forgetting about them, or this is a child's room and they've literally been stuffing items under the bed on purpose just to make the bedroom appear clean. Can you tell I'm an experienced mom? Or if your dog hoards things under the bed, which my daughter's dog sometimes hoards things under our bed. I think that she literally pulls things out of the trash sometimes and takes them under the bed. And she's really not allowed to have free, unsupervised run of the house, and that's one of the reasons. But, it happens, folks. Sometimes it happens. So that could be part of the trash layer, could be some stuff that's actually under your bed. So I think by now I've given you enough time. Going through with a trash bag, it's pretty quick. It could take longer if you're pulling things out with the broom. But again, just if there were a lot of random items like shoes and stuff that you pulled out from under your bed, just throw away the trash and we will deal with that other stuff in the next step. Did you make your bed yet? Or strip it? By the way, if you're listening to this episode early in the day, you'll probably have time to wash and dry your bedding and put it back on before the end of the day. But it's still a good idea to maybe set a timer on your phone or something so that you don't forget to switch that bedding from the washer into the dryer, or it might encompass a couple of loads if you're washing your sheets separately from the comforter, sheets and pillowcases separately from the comforter, something like that. So, yeah, I always hate it when I wash bedding and then don't get it dried in time. So that's something to think about. But if you're not washing your bedding today, I still want you to make your bed. Even if you're more worried about the clutter in your room, there's just something about making your bed that instantly makes your room look better and it improves your outlook. And this is also going to be a good staging area, for lack of a better term, to put things on that you're sorting through, or to fold some clean laundry at the end of the episode, which there might be a laundry pile in your room, and we're going to talk about that too in just a moment. So your next step is going to be relocating items. So look around and just start taking things that don't belong in your room to another area of the house. This could be dishes, cups, it could be children's toys, it could be just something that normally goes in the living room, a TV remote. I don't know if this is just us, but we own 4 TVs that are all the same brand, and that's intentional because it makes the remote controls interchangeable. So sometimes cleaning my room, I might find more than one remote and take one out to the living room. But I don't know if that part's relatable. And again, I want to talk about methods that maybe I don't use, but they're still a thing, and different things work for different people. I have done this before, but it's not normally the way I clean. You could grab an empty laundry basket and just anything that doesn't belong in your room, you put in that basket to redistribute it around the house. That's one way. You could also just set everything outside of your door, just in the hallway temporarily. But I've found that when I'm cleaning, I like to literally take something to the other room. It's energizing to be moving around a lot when you're cleaning. I mean, obviously there are times where you're sitting in the corner sorting through a pile or whatever. But sometimes it's nice to just, get up and move, run something to the kitchen, run something to your child's room, run something to the living room. So I encourage you to do that. It kind of just gets your blood pumping and gets you energized and excited about cleaning. But if that's not your style, if there's so much stuff you need to relocate, that it doesn't feel efficient, you could try putting it in a pile or putting it in a basket to deal with later. If you're new to the show, you may be thinking, well, this isn't cleaning, this is tidying up. I use the term cleaning in a broad sense. I use it loosely, and for me, it includes these tedious tasks of putting things away. I mean, a lot of what I emphasize on this show are the more tedious tasks, like washing dishes, folding and putting away laundry, picking up a cluttered room. I feel like those are the tasks where you kind of want somebody to talk you through it, as opposed to things like wiping down surfaces or vacuuming. I mean, in some ways, those are easier, because I think what makes us dread cleaning sometimes is that preliminary work. It's like that whole thing, if you've ever known someone who hires a cleaning lady or a maid or whatever you want to call the person that they have come in to clean, and they have to clean in preparation for that person. When we're cleaning our homes ourselves, getting down to those surfaces can be tedious, and that's mainly what I talk you through on the show. Of course, I do talk about surfaces, but there's less emphasis on getting stains out and just getting your house under control, getting you moving, getting things done. And then after that, once you get things under control, you get to clean that surface. It's almost like the reward when you get down to that surface, okay? So while you're relocating items, I'll just tell a random story. Have you ever noticed that in most families there's a cool aunt or a cool uncle, somebody who the kids find to be fun and exciting to be around, but somehow if you're the oldest sibling in your family, like, you're never going to be the cool aunt. And because in my family, I was the first out of 4 siblings. I have 2 brothers and a sister. I was the first one to have kids. So they had a cool aunt, a couple of cool uncles, like playing with them and just like doing things for shock value and just, being fun, all around fun, because they hadn't settled down and gotten married and had kids of their own, and they were just super fun. But then when your siblings start having kids, you're kind of like, I got to step up my aunt game, because my kids, really think so-and-so's fun. Well, that was kind of my mindset. I was the first one in my family to have kids. So fast forward several years, I'm spending the night at my brother's house. I get up in the morning. It's like February in Arizona. So yeah, it's not the coldest place around, but it's also wintertime. And I was thinking about the fact that my other brother used to come over to my house, and we had an above ground pool, and he would just go running through the yard, in the summer, mind you, but he'd go running through the yard and then jump over the side of the pool and kind of do like a racing dive. I realize you're not supposed to dive in shallow water, but, he's an adult and he was careful. He would jump over the side of the pool, kind of do a racing dive into the pool, and the kids would just laugh, and they thought it was great. It was kind of shock value. Nobody was expecting him to do it. He would just randomly do it. And, like at a barbecue or something. So that was kind of running through my head, like, that's the type of thing I want to do, Not that exact thing, because I wouldn't be able to jump over the side of a pool like that. But I thought I want to do something like that. Well, my other brother, whose house I was staying at, had a built-in pool at the time. And so I was in my pajamas. It was a cold morning. And I was like, hey, you guys, come here or whatever. Watch this. I have a couple of the kids kind of go, some of the kids are little babies, but I have the ones that are a little older, come to the door, and it's got a window on it and I'm like, hey, watch this. So I walk out into the backyard in my pajamas, and my brother is like on a business call with a headset, attached to him, and he's just kind of pacing around the backyard talking, like he had gone out there to kind of get away from the kids and conduct business. So he's just on this call or whatever, kind of oblivious to what's going on around him. And I basically just dive into the pool in my pajamas. Again, it's winter time. The water's really cold. And when I come up, that feeling came over me that you hear about, where I kind of just froze up in the sense that I was just weakened and felt like I couldn't swim. Okay. I've always been a good swimmer, but I've never just dove into the deep end of cold water like that before. And so I come up and I'm just like, help me, reaching my arm up, just feeling really weak. My brother just doesn't skip a beat, grabs me by the arm, pulls me out of the pool, and just continues on his call. And I just thought, well, that was a fail, Like, how cool was it that I had to be rescued out of the pool? So, yeah, maybe I could have found a better way to be the cool aunt, and that wasn't it. Okay, hopefully by now you have redistributed items or relocated items that do not belong in the room you're working in. Okay? Now you're going to continue picking up the floor, because maybe there are items on your floor that, and I realize some people don't leave their laundry on the floor, leave their shoes out in the middle of the floor. But if you're listening to an episode on cleaning the bedroom, it's possible that you are dealing with some clutter and that you're like the rest of us and you end up leaving things in the floor, especially in your room. It's time to just finish clearing the floor, because when you're cleaning in layers, not everything falls into the trash category or the redistribution category. What you are likely down to now are like your own clothes and shoes, or, if you're cleaning a kid room, it could be toys, but it's stuff that belongs in the room, but it's not put away. So now it's time to just get the floor picked up. And you might be thinking, well, what about the dresser, the nightstands? We're going to do those next. But I want you to spend a few minutes to just finish picking up the floor of your room. Now, during this step, there may be some items that could distract you. For example, don't get hung up on the laundry pile just yet if there's a clean laundry pile, because we're going to talk about that toward the end of the episode. The goal is to make some progress and get your room presentable before we do the deeper cleaning tasks that need to be done. So let's not get hung up on that. If there's a clean laundry pile, you're going to want to just kind of consolidate the pile so it's not taking up much space. Okay? Wherever it is, consolidate that pile, or maybe you want to put it up onto the bed to expose the floor for vacuuming. Okay? So unless it's a huge mountain that you need to shove in the corner, you might want to put it up, if it's manageable, put it up on top of the bed. But don't get hung up on those items that are going to take maybe some decisions or that are going to take time to deal with. Another thing not to get hung up on when you're just trying to clear your floor are those items that you draped over something, like you've worn them, but they're not necessarily dirty, so you drape some clothing over a chair, over the footboard of your bed, over a treadmill if you have one, a playpen, or, whatever they call them, pack and plays, something like that. Let's not deal with that right now. Let's get the floor picked up. And this step should only take a few minutes because you've already dealt with the trash, the items that don't belong in there. And I don't want you to stop and fold 4 loads of clean laundry or something. This is just getting your floor picked up. So just get it over with, bite the bullet, get your room picked up. You may also be thinking, well, what about the closet? Again, we're going to get to that. Let's just pick up the floor for now. So while you finish picking up the floor, I wanted to introduce you to today's sponsor. Tiffany Wilson is a longtime listener and avid supporter of Clean With Me. I'm very grateful for her. Some of my biggest supporters are either family members or friends who I know in real life. However, Tiffany is someone who met me online basically through this podcast. She's been a blessing to me, and she would like to tell you about a line of products that she is selling, and that you can be in ketosis without a keto diet. I didn't know this, but there are products that you can take to kind of get you in ketosis. From what I've seen, you can use it in conjunction with a keto diet, or you can use it just in place of a keto diet, basically. So I want you to check that out. When you help my sponsors, it helps me. I'm going to put a link to her website in the episode description. I'm also going to put it on my Facebook page, Clean With Me Podcast. Okay, so definitely check out her keto products. But I also want you to follow my page, Clean With Me Podcast. If you're on Facebook, you can either like or follow the page or both. I know a lot of you have already done so. However, I have a lot more listeners than I do Facebook followers in that group. So that's something I would appreciate if you're so inclined. I know not everybody's into social media. Not everybody's on Facebook. Not everybody wants to follow a cleaning show. I get that. But again, I'm going to have Tiffany's link there, and I'm hoping that you're going to follow me anyway. I mean, as moms, we all kind of need some kind of a pick-me-up, or we're trying, maybe we could stand to lose a few pounds. And I know supplements aren't for everybody, but if you're the type of person who likes to try things like that and you're interested, please buy from Tiffany. When you help my sponsors, it helps me. And she has done amazing things to support this show over the years. Hopefully by now you've gotten your floor picked up. We're not going to vacuum or sweep just yet. What I want you to do now is clear surfaces of things that don't belong. In my bedroom, there are 2 nightstands. There's a coffee table that I kind of use as a craft station, I guess you could say. I'm not really into crafts, but I have my hand knitting supplies there on that coffee table. Just kind of where it is because we got a different coffee table and I needed a place to set things, but I'll admit it does become kind of a hot spot for clutter. There are other things there that shouldn't be. So my nightstands, this coffee table, there's a TV stand. I know a lot of people nowadays are, using a wall mount for the TV. Ours is sitting on this dresser, like I guess a chest of drawers, not the tall. Or no, the chest of drawers is the tall one. The shorter, long one is a dresser, I guess. I don't know, but it's sitting on like a dresser. I call it the TV stand. And then I do have a tall chest of drawers. Not a lot needs to be dealt with there because there's a huge printer that takes up almost the whole top of that chest of drawers. And then I have my work desk. That's another thing that could distract you is, your work desk, but go ahead and straighten it up. Let's not go all out organizing it. If you have a work desk in your room, I know some of you are probably like, do you know that you're not supposed to work in your bedroom? You're supposed to associate it with resting and sleeping. Yeah, but that's where you go to hide from your kids when you need quiet, okay? If you're me, unless you're out in the RV, okay? So anyway, I have a little corner in my room that is dedicated to my work stuff. And I will admit, I don't sit there and work. I work on a laptop. So oftentimes, like when I'm home alone, I will sit in the recliner in the living room. I'll put like a little bar stool next to me to set my drink on. and that's a really comfortable spot to work. But then when I go into a meeting, I will just go to my room and like sit in that desk, because that way they kind of picture me in that office. You know what I mean? It just seems more professional that they picture me in that office with my carefully curated background. You know what I mean? So let me give you a little tip there. Obviously, you're going to clear your surfaces and you're going to wipe them down with whatever you use. If you have fancy furniture, you might be using like a dusting spray. If your furniture is a little rustic and you don't care, you might just be using a random cleaning wipe. That's what I use in my room. There's nothing fancy going on with our furniture. So, again, my bedroom's kind of the last priority in a lot of areas, so I don't really, get fancy furniture and stuff like that. We do have a fancy bed and nightstands, I guess, but they're a rustic style. So anyway, while you're working on clearing and wiping down the surfaces in your room, I'll talk a little bit about a home office in case you work remotely and you do these Zoom meetings or whatever. I know this part doesn't, resonate necessarily with everybody, but I know some of you probably do it. When I first started doing it, it was like I was doing it in the living room because there was an issue where I was worried about my internet connection. Like I had this job interview where they were like, yeah, your internet doesn't sound that good. And if this happens in the next interview, they're not going to hire you. This isn't the place where I work. It was just a previous interview, but it kind of scared me. So I got this like Ethernet cable so that I could sit in the living room and plug into this cable to where I'd have the most reliable possible connection. So then I had to make sure that the area behind me was clear because I had the desk set up in the living room temporarily when I started my new job and was like real worried about it. But then my husband like called the cable company and like complained about our Wi-Fi, and they gave him these like booster things that work really well. One of the boosters is out in our RV and the other one is in my room. So I was able to move the desk back to my room and not have to be like directly plugged into the modem or whatever. Don't know if I'm using the right terminology, but I didn't have to be plugged in, and the Wi-Fi is strong near that booster. So anyway, once that was all ironed out, I set up my desk in the bedroom. And what I like about that is that I set it up in a way that instead of trying to make my room look good by having a desk facing the wall and then my bedroom as the background, I position the desk to where there's a wall right behind where I'm sitting. So the benefit of that is that nobody's going to walk behind you during a meeting, and you're not going to have to like straighten up your house or whatever before the meeting starts. If it's, you're having a bad day or whatever and your house is kind of cluttered, nobody has to know when there's just a wall behind you. So it always cracks me up that, at previous companies, not where I am now, but at a previous company, like there was always somebody with just like at least two people with like an unmade bed as their background. And I'm not saying my bed's always made, but I just definitely wouldn't present myself that way at work. Okay. So I'm just throwing it out there. I also have one of those like room divider things that I could that you could, you could use this as a solution, like get one of those like tri-fold room dividers at like Hobby Lobby. You could put that behind your desk. If your desk needs to be against a wall and you don't want them to just look around at your house, you could put that behind you as a background. And of course, there are features where you can do like a fake background, on Zoom. That's a little rabbit trail that doesn't apply to everybody, but hopefully you've cleaned those nightstands and other items of furniture in your room. You may also want to clean your windowsills. And this is something you might do after the episode, but you might need to use if you have a sliding glass door in your bedroom, you might need to vacuum out the track. If you live in a dusty area, there's a lot of ifs here because I don't know if this applies, But if you happen to live in a dusty area, have a sliding glass door in the bedroom that you're working in, you may want to grab an attachment and vacuum out the track of that door to get the dust and debris out of it. But that's probably going to be after the show. Basically, what I recommend is when you've detailed your room like this, the floor's picked up, the windowsills are wiped down, the surfaces are dusted. Definitely you're going to want to vacuum or sweep and mop at the end as a finishing touch. My grandmother used to always say what makes a house look clean is when you vacuum and dust. So those are really good finishing touches once you've dealt with clutter. However, there are still some other deep cleaning chores that could involve clutter in your room. We talked about the laundry pile. Okay, you could start folding laundry on your freshly made bed or on your bare mattress if your laundry is washing. You may want to make some decisions about any items that are draped over furniture, like either hang them up or put them in the hamper. You may have some concerns about your actual closet. Some people are very good with their clothes. I feel like a lot of women like to, I mean, it's probably men too, but like to organize their clothing in a certain way when they hang it up, like either by color or level of formality, or, you may have, maybe by item, shirts, skirts, pants, different categories of items, or you may be like, having like these you may have like the colors gradually getting darker, as you line up your clothing. And some people just thrive on that. I know my sister is a major clothes horse, and weird term, I know, but I think I learned it from my mom. It might be kind of an older term. I say a lot of old-fashioned stuff, I think, and my kids kind of call me out like, what is that? I'm like, trust me, it's a thing. But my sister's a clothes horse, which just means she loves accumulating a lot of clothes and, putting together the perfect outfit for every occasion. Whereas I lean a little more toward minimalism. Like I can almost get to a point where I'm like, I really don't need clothes right now. And, some of you are never at that point, and I get that. But if you're not super good at organizing your clothes, you might have kind of a pile in the back of the closet under the clothes that are hanging where things have just fallen. You might also be storing like some boxes in the back of the closet. And you might have some brand new blouses still with the tags on them that fell in the back of your closet. You don't even know you have them. I mean, this has happened to me before where, I say I'm minimalist, but sometimes I'll buy something. It will maybe slide off the hanger, fall behind a box. I'll find it like a year later and I didn't even know I had it. Like, I never even wore this. It still has the tag on. Yeah, I've been known to do that. Don't get me wrong, I don't have much clothing, so that is kind of rare that I would find that. Probably what's a lot more common than finding an item that I've never worn is just finding an item that I forgot I had because it slipped off the hanger, but it's not brand new. Or what about this? Like every year, the first time I put on a jacket or a sweater, like I reach in the pocket, there's like a $5 bill, a $10 bill, sometimes even a $20 bill. Crazy, I know, but sometimes that happens too. Those are happy surprises. So I'm going to let you decide how you use these last few minutes, okay? Because the main tasks in your room are removing clutter, clearing surfaces, wiping down surfaces, but then there could be a clutter issue. There could be a hot spot, a table that is full of stuff, a sewing table, a craft table, a work desk, a school desk. There could be, an issue in the closet. You've got a walk-in closet, but you can't walk into it. I mean, can anybody relate to this sometimes? Like, every so often, I have to clean the bottom of my walk-in closet and, get that organized. I do have a shoe rack in there, so that helps a lot. But I don't know, somehow the floor still gets cluttered in there and clothes fall off the hangers or things just get thrown in there. So I'm not saying you're going to have time to do all of these things, but you're probably not going to have all of these exact problems at once. You could have a cluttered craft table or desk. You could have a cluttered closet, or you could have several loads of laundry to fold and put away. So it's time to do that. And then, of course, don't forget at the end, once you tackle that, to reward yourself. I mean, it sounds funny to call it a reward, but reward yourself by vacuuming or sweeping and mopping if it's a hard floor. But your mindset is important when you tell yourself, like, I get to vacuum once I've picked up this floor. I don't know, that kind of reasoning does work for me, in my conversations in my head, okay? It does work. Again, if having a work desk, well, I talked about how different things work for different people. If having a work desk in your bedroom makes you think about work during your leisure time, during your downtime, it stresses you out, then consider relocating it to a different area of the house. Just some of us have to work at the same time when our kids are home, like with older kids. Obviously, younger kids need close supervision, but those of us with older kids who work with the kids in the house, or even if, the other parent's taking care of the kids, it's like you need quiet sometimes, and that's why it might end up being your room. But, consider moving your desk to a different location. Like I moved it from the living room to the bedroom. And I definitely don't want to get stagnant in how my house is set up. Meaning I'm always open to moving furniture around or changing something up. And I think that kind of keeps me excited about my house sometimes. Just do something fun and fresh, like, move your furniture around. A lot of times in a bedroom, though, you don't have a lot of options, but maybe there's a different way you could position your bed or something, just to kind of mix things up. Another final step when you have deep cleaned an area or a room is to do a little bit of staging. Maybe you want to, maybe your nightstands have been cluttered and dresser have been cluttered with junk so that there weren't any decorations because those areas were just becoming a catch-all. There's probably something in your house you could place there to help keep you motivated to keep that surface clean. Or maybe you could buy something. For example, if you put a dried flower arrangement or a plant on the top of your dresser, then you would take more pride in that area, so to speak, rather than just piling it with junk, if that makes sense. So decorating is important. I feel like some people are so no nonsense. They're like, oh, I don't decorate. And I feel like in today's day and age, that's common. And I'm not trying to step on your toes if that's you, but I think they're missing out on the motivation that decorating brings, because you've got to be excited about your house, how it looks when it's clean, to feel motivated to really clean it, in my mind anyway. I mean, that's how my brain works. Everybody's different. But how exciting is it to just pick up and vacuum a room? There are zero knickknacks anywhere. There are no pictures on the walls, no decorations of any kind, no fun throw pillows to put on your bed after you make it. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, insert, whatever item you like to see, but I just feel like carefully placed decorations. I'm not talking about just cluttering up to where you have to dust hundreds of knickknacks, but a few carefully placed items can make a huge difference. Like, what about just having some kind of a picture or a sign, inspirational sign, above the headboard of your bed? I mean, that's a nice focal point when you walk in your bedroom. I mean, I have a huge framed print above by an artist that I like above my headboard. And then I have other pictures around the room by that same artist. But even if it was just that one picture, that would create a nice focal point, Then you get a fun comforter, some nice throw pillows, and those finishing touches are going to help get you motivated to keep your room cleaner. Years ago, I didn't write it, but years ago I read a book where this lady was kind of talking about her journey with housework, and she was talking about how when she was a teenager, she got a new comforter, and she was so excited about the new comforter, she started keeping her room clean. And there's just so much wisdom in that. It's definitely how my brain works. Like when you get a new house, my friend Jennifer is probably listening. She's got a new house. So she is super excited about her new house right now. And that's providing tons of motivation to organize and decorate and do all the things. But when you're in a house for a long time, you still have to kind of recreate that excitement in some way. Whether it's rearranging things or, maybe getting a fresh new comforter for your bed, maybe some bright throw pillows. You can keep that excitement about your house alive even after you've been there a long time. So I encourage you to think about those finishing touches and not just think, well, I'm so messy, I just need to start keeping the house clean, decorating. Who has time for that? No. That's going to help you keep your house clean if you have some pretty decorations. And it gives you a chance to kind of express yourself. When people come to your house, they kind of want to get a sense of your style. They want to look around and see something. And then when they're out shopping and they want to buy you a gift or something, they know what you're into. They know what your style is. Just like when they see the clothing you wear and they're like, oh, this blouse reminds me of my friend so-and-so. She would wear this. Same thing with decorations. Like, oh, my friend likes these type of candles or whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? People like it and feel welcome when they come over to your house and there are some decorations of some sort. I'm definitely a believer in decorations, but if you're not, don't hate me. I'm old school, okay? But Jessica likes decorating too, my younger counterpart, my daughter, who is also hosting this show. By the way, be sure to tune in for our next episode. I don't want to say exactly which day it's going to be released since we're both going to be involved in the episode, but the next episode will probably be both of us. So I'm super excited about it. So be sure to follow or subscribe to this podcast. Doesn't cost anything to click that follow button in whichever podcast app you used so that you'll be notified of our new episodes. I know in the description it says new episode most Wednesday, but lately we've been producing a lot of extra content. Anytime we get financial supporters, that motivates us to produce more content. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. We don't expect it, but we're super grateful when someone does. But it actually just helps us when you listen, when you subscribe or follow and listen. So most of all, just keep on listening. Don't forget to switch any laundry from the washing machine into the dryer so you'll have bedding tonight.